Well, there's major engineering works going on at Piccadilly, so stay tuned and all will be explained. Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now here in front of you, you see we've got the PENDOLINO, and the reason it's sitting there is because it's struggling to go around the layout, as you may well remember. Now the problem has always been the couplings, and I've made these couplings. So when I make them, there's always going to be an element of handmade in that. So therefore there always need to be a little bit of adjustment made. But not only that, there's an area of the layout which I've always been putting off adjusting. But today's the day I'm going to deal with it. Let's take a look. Right, just before we go any further, I just want to say a big thank you to Alan at Junction Mk2. He very, very kindly sent these over to me. And I'm covering parts of them up. I do appreciate them and I really will use them, but some of them just need a little bit of extra paint, let's put it like that. If you've seen his channel and you're familiar with the Vicar's Wife, then you'll know what's underneath my fingers. So I will give them some extra paint and put them on the layout in some places as well. Okay, but massive thanks, Alan, much appreciated. Well, as you can see, we're all in disarray. I've had obviously this part of the bridge I'm going to make removable, and so I can access all of this section, and I'm going to remove this portion of track as well. It's just a removable section and it will go back in. But it's this section here, and yes, it's the wretched single slip. And I've had problems with double slips in the past, crossovers, and basically anything that's code 55. Mixing it with code 80, it doesn't work. I can't get it to work. Some people might have found it very successful, but I've not in all the times I've tried to do it. Although most of the trains crossed it, no problem. There are certain trains and locomotives, even some Graham Farish ones, which don't like it. The 57 doesn't like it, the 66 doesn't like it, and it just comes off pretty much every time it goes round. So I've decided to bite the bullet and put 2 points in. And by using this arrangement here, like that, and if that makes, you can see where I'm going with that. So that bit goes to there. And that bit goes to there. So hopefully you can see pretty much where I'm going. So if you come out of platform 13 here, go straight across, down that bit, and then you come across here, and then over the crossover onto the inside line. Sorry about my finger. And obviously if you're coming around the main line, which is this one, then it would come across and then straight down this track. Okay, so you can see that will work. Now the geometry isn't quite right, so some adjustments do need to be made, but if I get this done and reconfigure that curve as well, because this point needs replacing, not because of any, well, yeah, it is causing running issues, but if I take you closer, you can see that point blade is not touching properly. Trains always derail going this direction, not that way, but the opposite way, going into the carriage shed. So I'm going to take that opportunity to replace it with this point just here, which is in a lot better condition than that one. And I think that one's served its time. Oh, welcome back to the scene of devastation. So none of it's fitted at all, it's literally just placed, but you can get an idea of now what I'm thinking. And obviously that track will then join up with that one. Probably see if I can, it might have to be slightly sharper unless I can get that to splay out a little bit more, which might work a little bit there. And obviously that curve needs to be cut across here. But I think that arrangement's going to be an awful lot more reliable once it's all stuck together. The only problem I've got at the minute is fish plates, because obviously everywhere's shut at the moment. It's New Year's Day, so I will have to see if I can get some fairly soon. I might have to take a trip over to one of the big model shops in the nearest town, so we'll see. Okay, I'll catch you shortly. There you are, welcome back. Can't believe this, can we? Anyway, I've got some of the cork down now, and obviously that's gluing there, but I'm going to start putting some track down and putting the weights on top of that, and that will act like a double whammy, if you like, because the track will then support the cork, and then so that'll be all nice and glued in the morning when I come back. So I will have some cuts to do now, but it's getting a bit late tonight, so I'll just do what I can, glue what I can down, and then do the cuts in the morning, get it all glued, get it all fixed together, and hopefully that should solve all the problems. All right, I'll catch you soon. Well, look what I found. That's literally just going through all the bits of scrap track, if you like, and just pulling off the fish plates. So there's quite a few in there, so hopefully there's enough to do all this job. Right, there it is. So all the track now is glued down, and I hope you agree it's an awful lot more smooth, and I have replaced that point with one that works. Obviously you can still see the wires. I've not wired up anything yet. Whether I get the chance to do that at the moment, I just don't know. There's so much going on Bank Holiday Monday. Well, welcome back to the scene of devastation, or perhaps not, because you can see we've got trains running again. So everything is all operational. All the point motors are back up and working again. They've all been moved. So obviously that one was over here somewhere, and there were two on the single slip around here, but they've obviously been separated into the two separate points, and that point is in exactly the same place as it was before. So that still works as it just did before. So that's all sorted now, and hopefully that will make things a little bit smoother. Now onto the Pendolino. I just thought I'd show you the issue that I'm having with the couplings at the moment. They're the ones I made, and this is what it looks like. Now this is a crude version, and it obviously needs a lot of filing. All that needs filing smooth and made a lot thinner, and it's easier to do it that way than trying to get the printer to print it, because I'll still end up with this texture on the bottom, if you like. So that's the reason I do it. And then there's a NEM pocket glued onto the front of that, and then I put in a standard Rapido coupling, as you can see just there. Now what's happening is it's quite free some of the time, but then it jams. Now when the manufacturers do this, they have a little spring which supposedly self-centers it, but it still jams. Even with those ones sometimes you get the occasional jam. But the problem is when it does jam, it causes a wheel to pop, because the coupling sticks out and the coach can't cope, and therefore it pops a wheel on the track. So what I'm proposing is to create a block which goes over the top, because I had to remove this little section here, i.e. one of those. Yeah, to create something like that, but with a pin that comes down through the middle, and then have print some of these, which I have done in the past, but with a big loop on the back, so like a very deep washer, if you like, and then glue that onto, well, glue the block, this thing, onto there, and then literally slip the coupling over the top. So it's only allowed to do that with a slight bit of up and down movement as well. So hopefully that might work, but with the couplings keep jamming up underneath the chassis, I think it's going to be a bit of a non-starter with this version now. I did get it working, but it's not so successful at the moment, even after I've replaced the track, which you're just about to see. It still didn't do it. In fact, it seemed worse, to be honest, in varying places. And the reason being is because there are some sharp corners, and I can't avoid that in that part of the layout. It's going to be undercover anyway, but Let's see what I come up with. Right, so I've had a bit of a palaver with this, to be honest, as this train's still living up to its name. Now, as you remember, I had the Rapido couplings on the end, and that was by that plate I showed you earlier on. But what I was finding, it was fine going around the outside main line, this one, but when I come to do this one, because this is the sharpest curve on the whole layout, that is second radius here. And yes, as much as I don't want it to be there, it's space, to be honest with you. I'd need at least another maybe 1.5 foot to get rid of that. And I would need to get rid of the whole of the carriage shed and rebuild it completely with the extra 1.5 foot. So that's not going to happen. So I've tried, by simplifying the plan, the track plan even more, I'm really hoping that this is going to be it. But you never know, well, things will happen. But anyway, so what I've decided to do, well, I'll show you what happened was, imagine these are the two Rapido couplings, yeah? The ones on the end here, those ones, yeah? When it got to this corner, one was doing that and causing the other to go like that, which then caused the carriage wheels to jump the tracks. So these ones on varying places were jumping the tracks, the odd carriage here and there. So I thought, this is not going to work. So what I thought about doing was go back to a drawbar style type where I've got one carriage connected to the other. So I thought of maybe having a pin coming up, which I then slot over inside and then onto the pin. But it was getting it in, and I thought it would be fiddly to connect it. And you hear so many stories about ready-to-run trains where you can spend nearly half an hour just connecting the train together, or maybe more, you know. And I thought, well, that's not acceptable. It's got to be fairly quick. So what I come up with was this. Now, this was one of the prototypes, but you'll also notice that this section in here under the door had been removed, which is literally just a U-shaped piece of plastic which clips in. They were always a bit of a nightmare. They kept snapping, and so I haven't got enough anyway. So what I thought about doing was to recreate that, but with a drawbar attached. So that one is permanently attached, yeah? Inside there, you've got a piece like that, which then the drawbar sits over, and then there's a covering piece. If I show you that side, hopefully you can make out what I'm talking about. So there's a piece that literally just slots on over the top, or in fact it's that way, yeah? So it goes in between the two outside bars. It's the inner one, okay? And that's the gluing surface as well. So I filed that smooth and then glued it effectively inside there. All right, obviously cutting this old coupling out. So that was my idea, or is my idea. There's no past tense about it. And then on the other carriage, have exactly that unit, but facing downwards. So the coupling couples in just like that. And then I've got this drawbar effect. Okay. Now, you will also notice if I bring the carriages round, they are reasonably close coupled. Yeah, I'm just looking at this particular one. Now, they're not touching, but there's not a too bad a gap there. Now, the only problem was, well, going around the outside track, again, absolutely perfect. But going around the inside track, what was happening, until I just made my slight modification, was one carriage would be then tilting outwards, and sometimes if the train was moving fast, that carriage would literally just scatter all over the track, as it used to do with the original coupling that was put on it. So what I've done is I've literally just taken a file, i.e. one of those, put it in there and filed a slot. So it's more, I've not done it brilliantly, but you can see it's more of an oval shaped hole now instead of a circle. And that seems to be working. Now, I'll just show you how easy or difficult it is to couple them together. Now, it is a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. There you go, I've done it. So let's have a see how it goes around that corner. I'm not going to do it massively fast because my hands will pull the train off the track. Right, so we've just lost a couple, so I need to still do a little bit more modifications on that. It might mean making a slightly longer drawbar, but the fact that some of the carriages got round is an indication that it's potentially going to work. Okay, now I will keep working on that and I'll come back to you if I succeed. If not, hopefully you'll see a running shot of the train going in the other direction. I'll catch you later. Well, as you can see, I've got the Pendolino running on the inside line, and I'll let you watch it go around that track. That's the second radius bit. So what I've done does seem to work. I need to lengthen the coupling on that coach, the one with the stripe in the middle of the coach, but on the whole it seems to be okay generally. This is test speed to give it bedding in, so to speak, to let the couplings bed in, because they do, when you 3D print things, you get a lot of string, as I'm sure you might be aware. So I've got the new measurement train running at a similar sort of pace, purely to help bed things in a little bit. But on the whole, I'm quite pleased with the way the track plan is working, and I'm just so pleased to see the Pendolino doing what it's meant to do. And you know, and so hopefully we can enjoy that in the new colours now. And over the next few weeks I will aim to get the other one done. It may not be until half term, I don't know, it depends how things go. There's a lot to do, as I'm sure you can appreciate, and this part of the layout is again all in disarray because obviously these tracks are missing. They're not missing as in never going back in, but they will go back in as a drop down section. The other one's up there, so it just needs to be configured as a drop in section and then it'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with the way things have turned out so far. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there as you see the Pendolino passing for the last time in this video. And I'll see you again very, very soon here on Piccadilly. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.